Hello, welcome to the After Bedtime podcast. I am your host, HP Burrito, and today I want to talk about climate change. And the reason I want to talk about climate change today is because I read an article in Science magazine talking about after 40 years of research, they finally have the data and we can finally call climate change. And the reason they say this is because they say to measure climate change, you got to wait 40 years. So now that we've done 40 years of research, now we can say from the beginning to the end of what they found in this article. And the article is full of so much like numbers and information, and I'm not going to go over everything of that, but I did want to go over a little bit of it. And so pretty much what their question is that if humans double the atmospheric carbon dioxide, the CO2, from pre-industrial levels to now, they're saying that the planet will eventually warm between 1.5 degrees Celsius to 4.5 degrees Celsius. Well, now that we've had 40 years of research going through this, they're saying that they have research that more supports that it's going to be between 2.6 to 3.9 degrees Celsius. So pretty much what they've done is they've narrowed down to where they think the levels of our temperature are going to rise because of doubling of CO2 caused by humans. And they talk about NASA here. They got the assessment itself was conducted by the World Climate Research Program, or the WCRP. They've taken their findings and they've given it to the UN, and so that way they can use this information. And because the United Nations has the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or the IPCC, and these are the guys that are telling everybody about how CO2 is going to lower or go up, and but they've always been so vague about it. And that's one thing about climate change that I always dislike, is how they're so vague about it, number one, and number two, how they're saying it's going to be between this and that. And in the article in Science magazine, they actually has a chart that shows you the different organizations throughout the different years and the predictions that they've come. And right now, with this newest research that we got by the WCRP, they narrowed it down to pretty much the smallest field that they can so far. Again, another problem with this article and this research, in my opinion, that I have with it, is the fact that it does not include any data or even mention of weather modification. And we know there's weather modification because we've seen the patents, or at least I have seen some of the patents and the things that the request that colleges, universities have done. It's out there to be found, thanks to a lot of the people who are doing the research out there, using the FOIA Acts, the Freedom of Information Acts, and climate weather modification is real, despite what the media sells. That they do sell that. They said the media. That's what CNN and ABC and all these other news stations, they don't give you information, they sell you the information. It's the information that they are told to tell you or not tell you, which is why you don't hear about certain things on the media, but you hear it in independent journalism. And weather modification is a thing, and it has been a thing since the 1970s. I mean, I think it goes back all the way to Vietnam, when they were trying to make monsoons so that way we can actually win the war. But that's back during that time. Right now, we're still doing things. I mean, people see things like stratospheric aerosol injections, or formerly known as chemtrails. And you can't tell me chemtrails aren't real. I see them all the time above my head. So, I mean, and the fact that we have all these programs, both known and unknown, because I guarantee you we know some of these programs because of these patents and whatnot, but we don't know all the programs. So they're working on other stuff that they're not telling us. Not just stuff that goes up in the air. I'm sure they're using stuff for like seismic weapons and things like that and research. And I mean, heck, the Large Hadron Collider over in I think Switzerland is that thing right there. Just through the power of that machine to be able to have a neutron star under the crust of our feet, under the earth that we stand on, and they're smashing atoms. You're telling me that's not doing things to this atmosphere? How it's probably doing things to our electromagnetic sphere that we have in this planet, which is probably why our gravity is going all wonky, and we're gonna have a pole shift here soon. But either way, the fact that these scientists, and it was 25 scientists that were all involved into this newest paper for this Science magazine article that I read, and not one of them thought to include any weather modification to their research, and that to me is kind of fishy. You know, that's why I'm skeptical about these reading articles like this. It's like, okay, you're saying you've got proof of climate change, but you haven't used all the available information. So that just tells me that you're picking and choosing what information you're finding from your research, so as long as the outcome comes out to the way you want it to come out. So pretty much these scientists are leading the work. And don't get me wrong, I understand that scientists do that and have been doing that for years now. But as an objective observer, we need to see this and understand this and have that process go through our thoughts, so that way we have a better understanding of what's going out there. And we can hold these scientists and these quote-unquote experts to their degrees. Because in my opinion, they're not really worth much of their salt if they're not including all the facts into their research. And that's just my opinion. And that's the whole reason I'm here talking about this for the last 7 minutes, is to give you my opinion on this article. Because it's the article itself, again, it's well written. The facts are there. You can look up these reports, but they don't have all the information that's out there, and it's just that right there is highly suspect to me, which is why I don't always trust what I read. Well, that's it for me tonight. Thanks for watching the podcast. Thanks for listening. Comment below. Keep the discussion going, guys. I always enjoy the comments and the discussion that we have afterwards. Like the video if you liked it. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time after bedtime.